Hello, my name is Alifina. I'm from Management E. In this video, I will read a text from my supervisor's English assignment. The title is The Templeton Twins Have an Idea, written by Ellis Weiner. When Professor Templeton emerged from his study late that afternoon, he was deep in thought, as usual. For this reason, he failed to notice certain unusual things the twins had done while they were making dinner. You heard me. They were making dinner. They sometimes did this, and it was no big deal to any of the Templetons. How could two 12-year-olds do such a thing? Oh, please. They both ordered for spaghetti and heated up a jar of pasta sauce and chopped a head of lettuce into hunks and poured bottled salad dressing on it. As far as they are concerned, this was a splendid dinner and they had it all the time. The professor did not notice that the dining room table had been moved a little, and that his place had been set opposite where he usually sat. He would not have been bothered by any of these rearrangements had he been aware of them, but he wasn't. Instead, he greeted the twins in a distracted way, checked the day's meal, washed his hands, and sat down at the table. In the kitchen, John spooned some spaghetti into a plate, topped it with sauce, and placed some of the lettuce beside it. Then, pretending to be extremely casual and ordinary about everything, Abigail carried the plate out into the dining room and placed it before her father. "Thank you, dear. It looks lovely," the professor said, his mind elsewhere. By this I do not mean that the poor man's brain had been removed from his head and taken to a different location, but that he wasn't thinking about spaghetti and salad. He was thinking about other things. In fact, about an article he was reading. You'll be interested to learn that the professor used one of his own inventions to read magazines and journals while eating. He called this invention the food-activated compressed air-powered page-turner with a clip-on mount. This, as you can see, is a perfectly dreadful name, so we'll refer to the invention as the FACAPPTWCOM. He originally created this device for people who play the piano. It consisted of a pedal on the floor connected to a rubber hose. When you stepped on the pedal, a blaze of air shot through the hose into a nozzle clipped onto the sheet music you were reading. The blaze of air turned the page. You laugh, but turning the page is an important function for piano players who read music while they are playing and who cannot lift their hands from the keys. How important is this function? It is so important that, in serious piano performances, entire human being is employed to turn the pages. I know you think I am making this up, but I assure you it is true. Ask your parent, guardian, clergyman, sports coach, or a piano teacher whether or not it is true. Or don't bother with any of them and just take my word for it. The FACAPPTWCOM was meant to allow piano players to turn their own pages, and it worked, more or less. Sometimes the jet of air turned more than one page, which meant the device needed fine-tuning, but still. Then the professor discovered that it could also turn the pages of books and magazines, thus enabling him to eat and read at the same time without interrupting either the eating or the reading. He had not yet perfected the device, so it was not for sale anywhere, but he had high hopes for its success in both the piano-playing world and the reading while eating world. While the professor was reading and eating, Abigail stood there, holding her breath and sneaking glances toward the ceiling. Then she heard a sort of hissing sound and looked around. It was John, whispering from the kitchen. "Abby, help!" Abigail ran into the kitchen. There was her brother holding the fishing pole. Its line ran up to and across the ceiling, crossing above the kitchen light fixture, which held it up, then ran down through the kitchen doorway, out into the dining room and across the dining room light fixture. It ended, finally, in the hook and sinker attachment, which dangled high above Professor Templeton's plate. John pointed to the kitchen ceiling. "It's stuck." Abigail looked. The fishing line, which John was trying to unreel, was snagged on something in the ceiling lamp. Abigail said, "Oh, for goodness sake," and immediately placed her hands on the counter and jumped up onto it. From her perch, Abigail could see the problem. She gave the line a little jerk, and it jumped free of its neck and grew taut. John quickly reeled it in a little to keep it under control. Abigail jumped down. "Okay," she said. "Let's go."